Good morning, everybody. Happy Friday to you on this September 5th, 2025. I got all your stories for your rush hour ride to work. And if it's okay with you, I would love to mail it in. Now, that doesn't mean we don't have great content to get to, but let's just kick it into cruise control and I'll mail it in if you mail it in. Let's steal company time today. Do a couple extra laps around the old office. Maybe canoodle with that person you've been flirting with. I'm looking at you, Deborah. I know what's going on out there at the office. I got all your content in one place. I am going to be covering the update on Blake Lively. There was an article written about Blake Lively. Will she be invited to Taylor Swift's wedding? Obviously, I think the answer is no, but we'll go over that. And a new rumor about why Blake Lively may have subpoenaed Perez Hilton. Was she telling on herself? So we've got that. We have some Bachelor tea to share from our good pals at the She's All Batch podcast. Let's first dive into the NFL last night. Kicked the season off, no pun intended. And on the first play, a Eagles player was thrown out for spitting.
Prescott in the huddle walks out between his offensive linemen, and Dak spits down towards the ground, but in the direction of the Eagles with Carter, who had walked over there, and that begins the interaction of the two. Prescott's spit was down.
So that's the issue, right? Prescott spits down at him, and then Carter responds by spitting at Prescott. Carter thrown out after the first play. Fly, Eagles, fly. They kicked off the season by winning, although it was a close one. The game was, delayed due to thunderstorms. It was a long night. But all week long, we've been trying to become billionaires, right? You guys know me. I'm all fighting the billionaires until I could possibly become one. We're talking about the lottery. The idea that you have a greater shot at getting struck by lightning and getting spit at last night's football game than you do of winning the lottery, and yet we still play. I think our pal Bruce was the one who said it. I could be misquoting him, but he said, the lottery is a voluntary tax on poor people. You couldn't have said it better. I mean, we all agree to do it. Knowing it's just some Hunger Games thing where only one person's going to win, and yet it gives us hope that we'll see light at the end of the tunnel. Well, not for this news anchor.
Ask yourself, what would you do if you won the $1.7 billion Powerball jackpot? Actually, don't. Because the answer is you're not going to do anything. Because you're not going to win. The chances are astronomical.
Hater.
All right. I'm not sure if people at home could hear, but there was some booze around. There's always a chance.
You miss 100% of the shots you don't take. My wife, whenever the lottery hits $1 billion, she's like, we got to go buy our lottery ticket. I do it to amuse her. Okay, let's go get a lottery ticket. But it's so funny. It's like, well, when the lottery's at 600 million, it's like, I ain't getting out of bed for that cheap 600 million bullshit. I want to be a billionaire or nothing at all.
Nancy Chen takes a look at the chances. Reports.
I'm feeling really lucky today, so I'm feeling good about it, and I think this store is lucky.
I'm hoping by midnight tonight it'll be worth a couple of million, a few million, a billion.
If 1.4 billion wasn't enough, try 1.7.
Tonight we've got another life-changing jackpot.
After no one matched those 6 magical numbers to become an instant billionaire. Wednesday's drawing was the 4th largest jackpot in Powerball history.
All right, so the next one's Saturday. So again, just a reminder, contractually speaking, if anyone in my large audience wins the lottery, I expect a small nominal 50% commission. You don't have to give me $500 million, but if you want to throw me a couple dozen million just to kind of get my boating life off the ground, I'm all for it. I'm here for you guys. Again, just remember, if you become a billionaire, I'll quit this whole thing. Everyone will say, what the hell happened to Dave? I will give you private phone calls twice a day. I'll be your own personal podcast. You'll be so sick of me, you'll pay me to stop. Well, here is some good branding. This is from Cranberry, New Jersey. New Jersey Council. And I got to move to New Jersey. My wife saw this psychic once who said we were going to have a baby and move to Jersey. We had the baby, so I feel like Jersey's around the corner. Maybe when I win that $1 billion, I'll afford the taxes there. New Jersey Council candidate busts a move during a township meeting. This is one way to get people's attention. Don't hate the innovative hustle.
Billy, I started your time.
So there he is, if you're listening.
And this is out of our Northeast Bureau. Town council meeting in Cranford, New Jersey.
What up? Okay. As you hear, a man named Will Philly was called up to speak during public comments, but before asking about property tax hikes, he decided to bust a move, dancing away from the podium before anybody responded. He's running as an independent candidate for township committee. Listen, if you wanted like a little attention, he got it.
My thought is this. We do all these debates on like, what's your stance on tax rates, or, I think every candidate that runs for office should have to bust a move. Show us if your hips lie or not. We know as a politician you lie. Do your hips lie? I would like to see that. Trump's got that kind of jerk off dance move he does. What does everyone else have? We want to know. Show us your dance moves. Big update here, more serious story. Missing baby Emmanuel. The parents have been arrested and charged with murder, but they have pled not guilty. Here's the update.
Just moments ago, the parents of missing 7-month-old Emmanuel Haro pleaded not guilty to the murder of their son. Jake and Rebecca Haro maintained their innocence. Emmanuel remains missing. Prosecutors say he likely died from long-term child abuse by his parents. The Haros claim Emmanuel was kidnapped from a parking lot in Yucaipa 3 weeks ago. Deputies arrested the Haros, saying there were inconsistencies in their story.
Now, I personally believe the prosecutors that that's probably what happened. I mean, they were searching for the baby. It's a terrible, terrible story. But it's also like, it's a wild accusation. Like they haven't found the baby, but you always see these stories and you say like, well, we want to see a good ending to it. There's no good ending coming here. None whatsoever. Just monstrous people. And speaking of monsters, do you believe Luigi Mangione is a monster, or do you believe he's a martyr? Accused healthcare CEO killer Luigi Mangione is making headlines. We covered this story a couple days ago. His image was used in a advertisement for Shein, the clothing line.
Accused healthcare CEO killer Luigi Mangione is making headlines again, and this time it's because his face was apparently being used to sell clothing. The popular Chinese retailer Shein says it's conducting an internal investigation after using the likeness of Mangione to model a $10 shirt. Shein says it took the ad down after recognizing Mangione, adding it will take appropriate action against the third-party vendor.
Oh, blame it on a third-party vendor. So again, I'm sure there's a good portion of my audience out there wearing Shein. Listen, it's a garbage company, human rights violations. But again, who am I to criticize Shein? All these companies, right? These multinational companies that make their apparel in some countries that have more flexible, if you want to put it that way, terms for the age in which children can start making clothes. I would like to live in a world where we just ban all, clothing manufacturing for anyone who's, set policies that make it like we shouldn't have to buy $10 shirts. Shirts shouldn't cost $10. They just shouldn't. You know what I mean? But they do. You get the whole point. So who's killed more people, Luigi or Shein? That's the question. Got an update here. And again, I don't know. It's not a hill I die on. It's just, it's terrible for the environment, and it's terrible practices. There's just no way in which a shirt should cost like $3. It's just, but they do, and we don't wonder why. So here's our good pal Stephanie from She's All Batch. She listened to the Bachelor in Paradise Happy Hour podcast or whatever it's called. They did a reunion for Bachelor in Paradise. Bachelor in Paradise did their full show, and then rather than air the reunion on TV, they were like, we're going to air it on our, YouTube channel or their podcast only. I don't even know if they recorded video, but apparently it was unlistenable. Let's take a break for our commercial. We'll come back and listen to Stephanie here rant on the sort of low level of professionalism coming from The Bachelor. Now, I've said this for a long time. The Bachelor, Bachelor in Paradise, Bachelorette, what they should do is they should invest in their YouTube, right? They should invest in having these companies make so much money. They should invest in having production quality so that after people go watch the show, they can go to YouTube to discuss it. But because they don't do that, channels like mine pop up. Well, now they're trying to do it. Too little, too late.
listened to an hour of the Bachelor Happy Hour reunion, and I'm like offended that they thought that this was a good idea. And this is no shade to any of the contestants on the show. They did open up about like hate they were getting, and I don't want this to be misconstrued, but like for a network TV show to put out a podcast with 16 people on the mic, I'm going to just show you. I screen recorded a part of it just to show you like an example. Because I cannot believe this.
Because I'm sorry, it's not that I wasn't trying to, but I'm processing it in that moment, Andrew.
I'm not upset with you at all.
Wow, that was terrible. That was literally, so anyway, go check out Stephanie from She's All Batch podcast. They do a fantastic job. But it just goes to show corporations, they don't have any passion in most cases when they try to do things like this. So you've got The Bachelor, well, we should do our own podcast. And then they don't have the passion to do it. So they hire contestants, and then the contestants mail it in because they're on the clock. They don't give two fucks if the show does well. You know, they're watching the sports game at the same time. What's that? They don't care. The tech is terrible. The sound equipment's off. It's no one's passion. So on my YouTube channel yesterday, I started on YouTube Premiums. Like, it's a private membership. If you want any advice, I'm trying to help content creators get out of their own way and just realize like now is the time better than any to go make your own content. Whatever the hell you love, find a way to make money talking about it, giving advice, being excited, being a friend to other people who share the same passions. Do that on YouTube, TikTok, Instagram, Facebook. Do it somewhere and you'll find a way to really enjoy it. I always encourage that. But if you want to check out my YouTube video that gives you some advice on what to do, I certainly tell you it's better than whatever the heck they're doing on The Bachelor. I mean, it's atrocious. What they think they can get away with. So if you're going to come into my world as a podcaster or Stephanie's world as a podcaster, show it some respect. You know what I mean? All right, let's move it on from there. All right, so we got some updates from the Blake Lively, Justin Baldoni case. Boy, we almost never talk about Justin Baldoni. It's all been Blake Lively. It's been Perez Hilton. And we have a fan theory from Cool Mom Jamie on TikTok. Wanted to share this with you. A fan theory as to why Blake is coming after Perez Hilton.
So I have a new theory on why Blake went after Perez. And after working in entertainment for over 10 years, I'm surprised I didn't come to this conclusion earlier, but here goes. I think this is the narcissistic version of projection, also known as telling on yourselves. So as you may know, Perez Hilton just had to answer a subpoena for his sources and communications and then unprinted stuff. Basically, Blake Lively's team wanted to prove or disprove that he had received payment and instruction to smear Blake Lively. So Perez scored a temporary victory, and he basically has more time to either get counsel or put some more research together, but it was a win yesterday because he didn't have to turn over things. But why would she be so adamant that Perez was paid or instructed to slam her unless she herself has either paid Perez in the past or paid other outlets to smear other people and to run articles that she wants? So I think she is basically saying, well, we do this all the time. Obviously, there's going to be evidence that Perez did it.
Interesting theory coming here from Cool Mom Jamie. I don't know if I agree with it that Blake would actually pay somebody to run a smear story, but I think the currency isn't money. The currency is access and opportunity. We know Blake and Ryan, part of a power couple, right? In with the big agents in Hollywood. So could they have convinced people to run with stories? I mean, we've seen it play out with her publicist. Her publicist is wickedly on the offensive. So sure, she's absolutely projecting, thinking other people would stoop to levels that her and her team do. So this article came out, I think it's behind a paywall. The Cut posted an article called, "Will Blake Lively be invited to Taylor Swift's wedding?" I mean, short answer, no, absolutely not. They're not on speaking terms anymore. Let's just read a little bit. If Taylor Swift is the type A mastermind that we all believe her to be, she has already started on wedding plans. Maybe she has venues in mind or knows what song she wants to walk down the aisle to. But the big question is, who's on the guest list? Specifically, will Blake Lively be there when Swift says her vows? The two women, who were friends for nearly a decade before Lively's legal troubles reportedly blew things up, seem to be completely on the outs at the moment. How did we even get here? And will it be possible for them to repair their friendship in time for one of Lively's daughters to be the flower girl? Let's check in on what exactly has been going on with these two. My short answer is, first of all, I don't think Taylor Swift's she's gonna have the $1 million wedding planner that's going to cover all of the I don't imagine Taylor Swift will be licking any wedding invite envelopes, although, hey, Taylor, I'm available. I'll come to your wedding, whatever you need. So again, it goes into how close they are, how long they've been together. And the article itself, not a great look for Blake. Some folks here on Reddit have said that they tried to post this link on TikTok and it kept on getting taken down. I don't know if there's any conspiracy to that or if TikTok's just a kind of shady app, but the idea that they're going to recover, I wouldn't bet my money on it. Now, Taylor Swift's kind of in an interesting place, right? A lot of people want her to speak out about politics. They want her to take a stance on many different things. And because you're as big as you are, right, the biggest pop star out there with the biggest voice, everyone wants you to take a side. Now, Blake Lively obviously wanted Taylor Swift to take her side, and Taylor was like, I don't think I can do that. I mean, it's a heavy accusation to side with someone when there's no evidence, and we don't exactly know what Taylor Swift's thought process was when she decided not to publicly support Blake Lively, but clearly she's stuck between a rock and a hard place. If you're Taylor Swift, if you're not supporting your friend of 10 years, Blake Lively, to me that means you don't believe her. And that also means you should be supporting Justin Baldoni, right? So does Taylor Swift know something that would help Justin Baldoni's case? If she does, she really needs to come forward and discuss whatever it is she knows. Obviously, to me, it feels like a card that they don't want to have to play if they don't want to play if they don't have to. That being Baldoni's side. They subpoenaed Taylor Swift and they ended up dropping the subpoena. They said they got what they wanted. Well, what the hell was that? Why hasn't any of that smoking gun evidence shown up in court? Is there evidence of Blake Lively extorting Taylor Swift? This is huge stuff. So the idea as to whether or not Blake Lively is going to be showing up to Taylor Swift's wedding, well, I don't think she's going to be showing up as an invited guest. Whether or not she crashes the wedding is another story. How about this? Let's move to Portland, Maine. I got a 15-month-old son. Actually, no. Tomorrow he's 16 months. Hey, happy 16-month birthday, boy. Either way, we have this conversation all the time about screen time. And he's at the age where some people decide to give their kid a tablet, an iPad, a phone, something to sort of soothe them if they're crying. And I don't blame people for whatever they want to do parenting. Really, everyone can make decisions that are best for their family. My personal opinion, though, again, not to shame anyone else, my personal opinion is that tablets, iPhones, and basically screens that you can hold in your hand are kind of the worst thing that you can do developmentally for a kid. Kids need to know what boredom feels like. They need to know what it feels like to communicate in the flesh with people. And too often we mask that boredom by consuming content. And I appreciate those that are checking out my podcast now. If you're ever having a rough day, log off. Go take some breaths. Go stare at some flowers. Do some grounding, some earthing. Either way, this family in Maine is bringing back the landline.
What did you think it was?
A toy. I didn't get the fun of it because I didn't know how to use it.
But Molly found out it's not a toy on her 10th birthday after asking her mom for a cell phone.
We pivoted and we surprised her with a landline.
I kind of get the advantage of scheduling my own playdates.
Today they have a landline pod of about 24 people, including Molly's best friend, Scout.
So there it is. So they're using landlines. Now, I've had people, whenever I cover this, I get wicked responses from people. It's almost like throwing holy water onto somebody who's possessed. I mean, we are all a part of a problem. in one way or another. We are consumed by our devices. They own us, right? The Pavlovian reflex we have to our, alerts going off. My device turns on everything from my car to my lights to my wife. I mean, everything gets turned on from my device. Don't ask. But no, all jokes aside, it's like I would consider it bad if you wanted to give your kid dessert for every meal. Those are empty calories. It's not good. And I also think the same thing is with screen time. And people say, well, what if we want to FaceTime with Nona? Listen, there's always exceptions to the rule. But the issue with screen time, for the most part, is the doom scrolling, the never-ending scrolling, which will steal someone's dopamine. They can't regulate themselves. It's a real problem. After seeing that clip, I came across this one, which I thought was really interesting, from Harvard Business Review. I've said this for so long. One thing we need to get back to in life is the feeling of boredom. Have a listen.
You need to be bored. You will have less meaning and you will be more depressed if you never are bored. I mean, it couldn't be clearer. Let me give you the good side of boredom in general. Boredom is a tendency for us to not be occupied otherwise cognitively, which switches over our thinking system to use a part of our brain that's called the default mode network. The default mode network is a bunch of structures in your brain that switch on when you don't have anything else to think about. We don't like it. My colleague in the psychology department here at Harvard, Dan Gilbert, he did experiments where people had to sit in a room for 15 minutes with instructions to do absolutely nothing, and there was nothing in the room to do except there was a button in front of them that they could push, and if they did, they gave themselves a painful electric shock. Sit there bored or get a shock. A big majority of the participants gave themselves shocks instead of thinking about nothing. Why is boredom so bad? Well, because the default mode network makes us think about things that might be kind of uncomfortable. When you think about nothing, well, your mind wanders and thinks about, for example, big questions of meaning in your life. What does my life mean? You go to kind of uncomfortable existential questions when you're bored. That turns out to be incredibly important.
Now, as a stand-up comedian, I have to remind myself to log off of podcasts or consuming other people's content because, very simply put, you cannot create and consume at the same time. And how can you think of that next great idea if you're just listening to somebody else's? Now, this is very rich coming from me because I rely on you guys to consume my content. Just reminder to folks out there, take the time to have a drive where maybe you're playing a little bit of, sometimes when I'm driving to a gig, I'll play like instrumental house music or some random music. I play a lot of like Latino club music where I can't even understand the lyrics because it helps me get to a place where I'm not thinking about what's going on and I'm in this mode where I'm clearing my space. I don't know, just a thought. So, but yeah, we all do have a problem. Anyone who says they don't have a problem, I think for the most part is lying to themselves. And let's stop poisoning our kids. All right, well, speaking of poisoning, let's end on this one. We got a weird one for you today. Do we have time for it? Republican Senator John Kennedy warns that eating radioactive shrimp could turn you into a xenomorph, as seen from the movie Aliens. What?
This is a photograph of the alien from the movie Alien.
Talks too slow.
This is what you could end up looking like if you eat some of the raw, frozen shrimp being sent to the United States by other countries.
Now, we did cover this story. There has been radioactive material found in some shrimp. I don't know if you'll turn into the alien. I would rather turn into the alien than turn into this senator or someone who looks, they all kind of start looking like Mitch McConnell the older they get. They all sort of morph into the same, befuddled, slow-talking old Southern man.
The shrimp was radioactive. I kid you not. It had a radioactive isotope in it called cesium-137. It'll kill you. Even if it doesn't turn you into the alien if you eat this stuff, I guarantee you'll grow an extra ear. That was bad enough. Obviously, the FDA issued a recall.
I think he's joking about the alien part.
A few days later, it happened again. It's not being inspected. It's supposed to be. It's supposed to be inspected by the National Oceanic and Atmospheric Administration. We call it NOAA. It's part of the Department of Commerce. And yes, they're inspecting some of it, about 1%.
Well, I wonder who's deregulating all the people that would be inspecting these things. I don't know, but all of a sudden, end of 2025, we got radioactive isotopes in our shrimp. Lucky for me, I don't eat that shit, right? Shrimp's disgusting. Nothing with exoskeletons. I don't want it. I don't want your exoskeleton. I don't want your lobster. That's a cockroach of the floor of the sea. These bottom feeders. No thanks. I'll take a nice swordfish. That's a nice alpha meal, a good old swordfish. All right, that's it from me. We'll be back this afternoon. Got a lot of content we'll wrap this week up with. We'll see you then. I'm Dave. This is The Rush.